It's raining it. It starts after we're done. Before we get started on the class, please join me in invoking the Buddha's name 3 times. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namoni Buddha. So, I'm going to kind of piggyback on last class's topic. So, the whole kind of theme to this, to be mindful of the positions of the body, right? The comfortability, the sustainability, etc., etc. And then today I'll kind of finish the body part and kind of go over Vedana, which are feelings and sensations. And then I believe we'll have probably 2 or 3 classes covering the observation of mind. So we've covered again breath. Breath, it's with us. It doesn't escape us. It's there whether you want it to or not. I mean, I guess if you don't want it there, you can do something about it. But most of us want it there, right? Most of us. And so the observation of the breath, we can absolutely do that as well. But the first we can absolutely do that as well. But the first method is, of course, just counting, right? That's the most traditional way of meditating on the breath. Is for every in and out breath, you count 1, in, out 2, in, out 3, etc. Up until 10, and then you start over again. Or if you'd like, just reverse order and go from over again. Or if you'd like, just reverse order and go from 10 to 1. 10 to 1, right? And so that's the first method. The second method was observing the breath method. The second method was observing the breath at the anapana spot, right? So right at the tip, the space in between your upper lip and out. Ana means in, pana means out, anapana. So in, out, meditation, or in out breathing, right? And so you're just focusing on the sensation of the breath of the air in this little tiny area, right? And so we make mindful notations. Is the breath long? Is it short? Is it shallow? Is it coarse? Is it slow? Is it coarse? Is it smooth? Is the air warm? Is it cold? Right? Whatever you're sensing. And then after 3 or more breaths, however many you want to do, continue on. So kind of at the back of the nose, kind of in the sinuses, you're feeling the air moving in and out as you inhale and exhale. And you move to the back of the throat, or down your neck. As you breathe, you're feeling the sensation of the air as you inhale and exhale, and you move into your lungs. As you inhale and exhale, you feel that, and then through your whole body, you feel the sensation of air, nose to the tip of the nose. And you do that, right? And so unless you're doing one of those 3 methods for your entire session, preliminary exercises should only be about 5 minutes, or depending on how long you're sitting for. Generally speaking, a full sit or 30 minutes, right? And so if we're doing 30 minutes, then 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes max should be kind of your preparatory exercises. Even if you're going longer than that, still 5-10 minutes is really all you need. But anyway, so we use one of the... And then we went to sensations of body, or the movements of body last time. This is essentially just observing what the body is doing as you're meditating, right? And we've kind of covered or went over a few different, depending on what's going on in the mind, action that arises during meditation. If you're sitting upright, if you're in correct posture, if everything is good to go, then any prolonged distraction is going to modify that posture, right? Automatically. Because like the example I quite often use is the body is like dough. It's like there's some external force pushing down or remolding that clay, right? And that external force is distractions, thoughts, etc., etc. And as those distractions arise, if they're maintained, meaning that they are being entertained, then your posture is going to start to readjust. So you're going to start slouching, your shoulders going to start to move in, right? And so our mindfulness is gone. However, if you're even a little bit more mindful and you've noticed the now versus sitting upright, right? And so the awareness of how our body is positioned compared to how you've set it is a sign of a breakage in that concentration, right? Easiest thing for us to do. And so discomfort comes quite easily for most people. And so discomfort typically either is in the lower back as we're sitting, or in the knees or feet because our feet or legs are falling asleep, right? Unless it feels like someone's stabbing you 20,000 times, suck it up, buttercup. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be behind the bush because you're literally trying to train your body to do something it doesn't want to do, right? And so in order to train the mind, which is doing, and once the mind cares what the body is doing, then the body cares what the mind is doing, and just kind of, it's a slick suffering. But minor aches and pains, I would try to work through those. Because again, you're really trying to train the body to do something it doesn't want to do. You're training it to make it feel comfortable. Tingling, right? Like the feet falling asleep, the legs are falling asleep. It's not the end of the world, right? Your leg and feet are still going to survive, right? It's just a bit uncomfortable. But we need that uncomfortability to push through, right? Because if your goal is to hours, well, guess what? Your foot and legs and back and the whole body is going to fall asleep whether you want it to or not, right? And it's going to be uncomfortable. And we have to be able to know how to work through that uncomfortability and that minor ache. But anyway, so that's my suggestion. But again, if it's completely overwhelming, then And only then is it okay. Not only adjustment, even in the mind, right? Going back to our object of meditation if we've gotten distracted. In whatever situation we're in, it's important to always make that mental notation of what you're about to do before you do it. So if you are about to make an adjustment in the body because there's pain or an ache or whatever, then mentally make the notation, adjusting, or and this is how we do it, is literally talking to itself, saying, this is what I'm about to do before I do it, right? And as we consistently start to practice that more often in meditation, then it happens more often out of meditation, right? Because that's kind of the goal, is to be able to take our meditation practice from the cushion and use it off the cushion in everyday life. And the only way to do that is to be consistent with these little subtle, mundane practices of being mindful and making mental notes and notating the things that we feel and see and do. So that brings us to feelings, right? Feelings kind of goes on, kind of is my transition to observing the mind in our next class. The feelings in this the important thing is to understand that these feelings happen before our reaction, right? And if you remember in the past, the bazillion times that I've said it, our reaction to things is what causes us to suffer, right? And so a pleasant sensation appears and the mind says, ooh, I want more of this. Or an unpleasant sensation appears and the mind's like, I want this. And this automatic movement of toward that grasping of wanting or that resisting and pushing away, right, is the beginning of our suffering. You may not feel like it yet. That's where it's going. So meditation allows us to pause before we start reacting to things. This is why I said we can take that practice off the cushion and use it when we're in an argument, wants or aversions, right? We're able to let go of all that fluff, because that fluff is just something that we add according to our own experience, according to our own biases, our own perceptions, our likes and dislikes, and all these other things that don't really matter. And so instead of reacting automatically and habitually, right, we can simply just observe and see things for what they are, which is just pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, right? There's no so then once we start to understand these feelings, right, that and what they are, and we know that the feelings themselves isn't the problem, right? It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to be able to feel pleasure. It's okay to feel pain in some cases. It's okay to feel neutral about things. What's not okay and what our problem is to distance ourselves or to be averse to pain, right? Nobody wants to get slapped in the face. But if I slap you in the face, what's going to happen? What's your reaction to being slapped? Shock? What else? Yeah, but what is your response to being slapped? Anger? What else? Pain? Sorry? What'd you say? Retaliation. Absolutely. Pain is the correct answer. Because pain is exactly what it is. The core, raw feeling of what just happened. Or discomfort, right? Whatever you want to label it. But we don't typically do that, right? Because when we get slapped in the face, our first reaction is, depending on the situation, is who it was, how dare they, why did they do it, right? We have all this questioning about being slapped, and then we're like, oh, that hurt, right? Or we look in the mirror and we see, a handprint or something, we're like, oh yeah, that kind of hurts. And doing it that way takes us away from that true mindfulness practice, that true awareness of what is happening. Because instead of seeing things for how they are, how they truly are, we're seeing it how we want it to be. Negative word you want to attach to it, right? And by doing that, it takes us away from the actual experience of what just happened, from the actual feeling, the Vedana that just happened. So think of that in long terms. Think of situation A, scenario A, is you're being beat up. Okay, so everyone in your mind, pretend you're being beat up, right? And in this beat up person, you're not a practitioner, you're not a meditator, you have no idea what mindfulness is or awareness is. What is your thought process in that scenario? Take a few moments. But imagine something is happening to you that you don't want to be happening. What is the thought process in that scenario? What is the feeling that you're feeling, right? Not that is wanting it to stop is just a mental formation at this point. But what are you actually feeling? What is going on in the mind? What is going on in the body in that scenario?
What is the context?
You're just being attacked. Just random attack. You're walking down and you're being attacked by a deer. Let's just say a deer's attack, right? It's a zombie deer. A zombie deer trying to turn you into a zombie. Tension, yeah.
I would say that with a Buddhist practice, other than the pain and the reaction, we would actually think that it's something that exclusively comes from the outside, that we're the victims.
Exactly, right.
Physiologically, like the heart is going to start moving faster.
Mm-hmm.
Temperature will go up.
Right. Fight or flight, exactly. I mean, we want to practice fight or flight regardless, right? Know that whatever is happening to you externally is not their fault, for instance, right? The feeling that you're feeling from someone hitting you isn't their fault. It's their fault for hitting you, yes, but your feeling, your reaction toward that is not their fault, right? You cannot blame them for your feelings and your reactions. How is that different from scenario? Right? Knowing that it's impermanent, knowing that this is pain but isn't suffering, is what's going to essentially save you in that moment, right? Because there's a saying that Pain is optional, suffering is inevitable. Or I don't think it's inevitable. What is it? Oh, I can't forget but you get the gist of the quote, right? But that's pretty much it, right? That's literally telling you that your reaction is what's causing you suffering. Get slapped, get beat. I mean, don't. But if you were, right? There's power, there's freedom in the acceptance of what is happening. With the knowledge, with the wisdom of knowing that whatever is happening, it doesn't have to be something negative, even something positive, right? Even something that is pleasurable. There is freedom. But that is the biggest reason why we suffer. Less of what we don't want, all these other things. The more we go after them, the more that we have this desire to obtain and to hold on and to continue to grasp, then we will continue to suffer until we're able to let that go. It is the grasping, it is the attachment to things, positive or negative. Anything and everything is impermanent. And I've said it last time, how much I love the word impermanent. Like, impermanence is like my most favorite thing in this entire universe. And it's just beautiful. Like, if I could marry impermanence, I would. But the impermanent nature of everything, it's beauty. It's what gives things the freedom of coming and going without any attachment, without any grasping, without any aversion toward things, right? Uncommon, right? That's going to be a flight or fight situation, okay? Stepping off the Buddhist perspective, beat the crap out of them as much as you can and run them. But seriously speaking, though, a way out in some way, shape, or form, right? And so if you, let me backtrack a little bit. I'm going to use the example of an abusive relationship of spouses, okay? There is, from a scientific perspective, and there's reasons who are in abusive relationships they came from parents, it may have come from siblings, it may have come from friends and teachers. And so that entire type of life is all that they know, right? And so they don't know that they're in it. And that's the most common type of abuse, right? Then you have the abuse where people feel stuck and have nowhere to go, right? Like, I don't have family, I don't have friends. Leaves you. Externally, you look like a happy couple. It's like, oh yeah, my husband or wife is abusing me. I'm like, no, they're not. Look completely happy, look completely perfectly fine. In whatever situation, from the Buddhist perspective, from a dharmic perspective, these situations is impermanent. But there's one thing I want to kind of stress is the acknowledgement to yourself that there is an end, right, to this. Just like everything else, everything arises and ceases in the world. Nothing ever lasts. And especially in that kind of situation, it doesn't mean that you endure. It just means, this is a personal opinion, if there's an opportunity for betterment, an opportunity for release or freedom, then take it, right? So stop there.
I think that the Buddha teaches us that we have to have the right mindfulness and the right knowledge, and the right action, and then do not associate with people that are not while you cannot. That is when, as long as I decide that relationship, then I can use this. But that does not preclude me going through the right path and leaving the situation eventually. That's it.
Michelle.
So I've never shared this with someone, but I feel like sharing my personal experience in this situation. I guess I'm just going to share it. It's a different question. So I used to be in a really relationship, and that's in my life, and I kind of realized that I had called this person towards me by making certain decisions in my life based on the choices that I was making. When I was reflecting upon the question, back then I didn't practice Buddhism. I hadn't really started my spiritual path or anything like that situation. I realized that anytime that I was engaging in my feeling, lust, allowing myself to get drunk or do other mind altering substances, it was basically like opening the door to my life. And when I realized that I was the one that had opened the door to all of this, as the Buddha says, that we have so much control. If I opened it, then I can close it. And so there were certain steps that I needed to take, and I had to rely upon the police and emergency room doctors and things like that. And starting the Buddhist teachings has changed my life in such a way. But I hope that answers your question. That's just my personal experience.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So I just want to add a couple of things because there's always cause and effect, like she shared, and it's always in your like abusive situation or any kind of situation we run into this negative, the sowing and reaping. So whatever you sow, you're going to reap that in your life. And he's quiet and then sorry, and then you see the snap. I just stop right there. So it's not always it's always cause and effect. Whatever you have sowed in your life, previous life, the result is going to be happening. And it's all like you said, it's impermanent. It's going to go away. So you have to understand whether the suffering is optional and the pain is inevitable, like we said. So you see, just take the pain.
Firm faith in Buddhism and treated the way where when you hold on to your faith, like when I go to a walk with clear guides, clear wisdom, and clear freedom, as an element to train my mind to endure harsh words and bad treatment because it isn't permanent because you don't know what's happening on the other side of the conversation. But to know that there's always a way out and always have a friend there to who will always find a great bodhisattva there that's in the grace and the outside of the Sama to help you with the words, the kindness, the gentleness, because feelings and emotions are temporary. So inwardly, all you have to do is wait. But have a firm faith in the Buddha because when it happens, you're not alone, you're one with him. And whatever to have it said helps when the other person is willing to do that. And as far as you can, it's just to step away from sin or from endure that type of situation as soon as you can. Because once that happens, that's when the curving happens. And once you try to forget and forgive, that's when the inner peace of the Buddha within somebody else. That's what's important to have faith. That's the most important. To have once you have that, you have eternal freedom.
Well, unexpected space. Everything is cause and effect, right? So if you want to call it karma, cause and effect, whatever terminology we want to use, this is why the stress of mindfulness practice, the sooner in life that we can become mindful and aware of what's going on in the mind and in our surroundings and specific situations, the easier early on, or to see a dangerous situation or whatever may be early on, right? Versus waiting for all our causes and effects to kind of take fruit, right? Make fruit. And so the more we can practice, the sooner we can practice, and the more Buddhism is to eradicate that ignorance. So ignorance in Buddhism, again, doesn't mean stupidity. It literally means not knowing. And we all do not I'll be living in heaven. But no, we're in quite literal hell, actually, right now. State of the world. But that too is a mindset, right? And so in Buddhism, there's, realms of existence, there's heavens, there's hells, there's this and that, there's whatever it may be. Then we know that it is all impermanent. And we know that we can, at one point, take control of how we're feeling and what we're feeling. Right? But we can't take control until we've mastered our minds. We can't take control, react to things. And if you're not reacting, I'm not one of them. But people often think that, monks and nuns are just these happy beings, just lollygagging and, there's no pain, there's no suffering. But are you kidding me? I'm full of suffering. I suffer 24/7. The difference, though, that a lot of monks or nuns, the difference between monks and nuns and some lay people is that we know what to do with suffering. I know what to do with my anger when it arises. I know what to do with happiness when it arises. And because I know what to do, and what you know what to do. What's the flower of Texas? Blue bonnets. Jeez. I am Texan, I promise. We'd be running in a field of blue bonnets. But we don't. We're running in a field of fire, and I'm talking soon so we can meditate. The other side of that is because the mind controls how we perceive the world, right? You can be in the middle of a war zone. An awakened mind, an enlightened mind doesn't discriminate between good or bad, or right and wrong, or beautiful and ugly, or tall and short, and war or no war, or peace, whatever it may be, right? There's no comparison. Because when there's comparison, there's conceit. When there's conceit, it's a fetter. It's a fetter toward our enlightenment. It doesn't allow you to see reality. And so our reaction to that, if you're able to control that reaction and react correctly, then it's much easier to accept things for what they are. It is what it is. Someone slapped you? All right, someone slapped you. Maybe you deserved it. I don't know. Maybe you just have a slappable face. Right? Luis has a slappable face. Every time I see him, that can never happen to anybody. Because it is such a strong lesson for anybody. Right? Most of you have heard my reasoning for that. Who wants to say it instead? Because I feel like I've said it a bazillion times. And you're
What are you supposed to do? Are you asking your answer?
yes.
Make it your superpower and not care. Say it.
Not being offended is such a great superpower. Because what runs your life? I am this, I am that, right? The ego gives you 5 million different titles, gives you 5 million different designations. It cements your personality, right? It thinks that this is who you are, this is how you should be, this is how people should see you, how they should treat you, etc., etc. And so then somebody comes and offends you that throws you way out. Right? Don't you know who I am? The audacity! Right? And so the mind gets offended and it retaliates, right? It fights back. But because if someone offends you and what they say to you is true, you know it's true, they know it's true, why are you offended? If what they say to you is not true, you know it's not true, and they probably know it's not true, why are you offended? It makes no sense, right? And so, persuade you this way or that, nothing that can ever imbalance your minds and your reactions. You become unoffendable. If you're unoffendable, you have lollygagging and, running through the field.
There's one key caveat because
I was trying to come up with a question and you asked me to repeat it relates, I think. So if you change your perception, you're creating a better environment for your enlightenment too. When when you change do you know what question I'm asking? Because I don't. Try to formulate a question.
Okay. If I'm understanding where you're going with this question. If we're able to in the situation, it reduces the kind of karmic hit, anything more.
Okay, so
Okay.
if your perceptions are already changed and you're not perceiving things as you were before, the perceptions, because they're subjective, honestly, you're suffering. You could decide that stubbing your toe maybe felt good now. Or I don't know how you could perceive war as good, but that's what an enlightened person doesn't have an opinion about that.
Correct. Yes, you're on the right track. Yes.
When someone is trying to offend me and it's not true, it helps me, when I think about it, it helps me sharpen up my practice and basically that nervous system, the body and mind, affected by it. I'm aware where I can see the other person, how they're suffering and how they view the world. It helps to have a practice where if you do the meditation, or tell you what to expect. In the end, if I'm not offended by it, that means my skillful means will be sharp and they can be
kind of also just goes to reactions, right? Because if you're not reacting negatively to something, if someone's yelling at you, they're expecting a reaction out of you, which is what they're feeding off of. If you don't give them what they want, then they may have a second thought like, oh, maybe I'm the idiot, right? Yeah, that's a beautiful story of the Buddha, right? Someone, I think it was Devadatta, right, the Buddha's cousin, who attempted to kill him several times, and released his murderous elephant toward the Buddha, but the Buddha just sat in place, peaceful and unprovoked by it, right? And as the elephant is charging at him, the elephant's like, why is this dude not moving, right? The elephant...
When get back to the law and all the nitty-gritty, like once our reactions stop every little nitty-gritty, it's not karmic nitty-gritty. This karmic effect doesn't affect just only us, it affects
Right.
other parties too.
Right.
So the law stops. Like if we stop, if we walk, then another person walks too.
Right. If we're not giving people what they want from our reaction, right, then it becomes hopefully becomes a domino effect, right? They see what is more correct, chaotic. Yes, ma'am.
How do you apply this to internal pain, like doing the surgery to fix your pain? How do you apply all this?
Well, that too is still impermanent, right? Hopefully, right? Unless it's like crying. You react in the same way. You can react to it in the same way, right? Knowing that once you seek help and get the help, in this case surgery, that the pain will hopefully go away, right? And so just knowing that I haven't had coffee this morning, so I'm blanking out. Oh goodness. I have to recollect. Regardless, the mindset of knowing that there is an end or a potential end in and of itself is liberating. There's a liberating factor to that, right? Same way that when most people go to work and don't want to be at work, right? They're just counting down the hours to leave and go home, right? So you already know at the end of the day, you're gonna go home. So you feel negativity or any type of emotion would fall under that same category. Just knowing that there is an end, whether it's a surgery, whether it's an appointment, whether it's a vacation, whether it's going home, whatever it may be, right? That in itself kind of holds you or gives you enough juice, I guess, right? Until it's satiated.
And it's not to say like very successful because you know positive attitude.
Right. Because we have no control of the past, no control of the future. Only control the present. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I know you had to catch up.
Go for it. You have
Okay, so
2 minutes.
I was just response to your question. So in January, I believe I had 3 surgeries, and I was in the moment because I had to be awake while these things were occurring, and just letting go and surrendering and acceptance and chanting and doing mantras. Like it just became a thing of like when I allow my mind to go into the future, just bring it to where it's at before with similar procedures, just bring it back into the moment. I'm here right now, focus on my breath. So it was just a practice of bringing it back and just letting go and surrendering.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Bringing back to the meditation pieces real quick. I mean, that's what Lego is. It's like a nursery kind of practice we do to be able to do what Bishop just did. I mean, you just label something, it might be a gut party, you label it, surgery or whatever.
You can even use your own pain as an object of meditation. Because many years ago, when I had my wisdom teeth out, I decided not to go under because I don't want to have whatever drugs they know. So I didn't want the drugs. But I used the pain of the extraction as my object of meditation. It was not pleasant, okay? I'm not saying this is for everybody. It's extremely unpleasant. But it was actually quite liberating at one point. It almost disappears, right? The same way, like Louise just said, right? You make the mental notation of the dog barking, right? The mind is only paying attention to it because you're not paying attention to it, right? So the mind is constantly trying to get you to listen to the dog's barking because you're not. But as soon as you say dog's barking or sound or dog or whatever it is you want to label it, you've acknowledged what the mind is trying to push you to pay attention to. And it'll just simply stop pushing, right?
So that yesterday when we were speaking about comfortable, not a kind of hazardous or pleasant, peaceful situation that it was. That's what I was looking to. How be wise. So I like to have to like it as like your mind, the more you see it,
More peaceful. Beautiful. All right, do a quick stretch. We'll finally sit for our meditation. Those are the non-reactions. Before I forget, I also do have a date for our next retreats. So it will be after we celebrate Visa. So I have it set for June 13. So mark your calendars, June 13. And then May 31st, we'll be celebrating Vesak, which is the most holiest Buddhist holiday. I feel like I'm cheating every time I meditate during class because it's the shortest amount of time I meditate. Yes, sir.
We've been practicing meditation together as a family for the past 2 or 3 months.
Awesome.
Really eye-opening.
Good for you, little man.
I was here maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and the first time I meditated, it was a savage.
Yeah.
And now it's like somebody mentioned it, or I don't know if you mentioned it about the belief, right? It's not the actions that are silent.
Right. Right.
That's not what this happens this time.
There you go. Progress.
And I was laughing at myself again because this is my son's first trip to the temple. So I found myself, took a picture of him, and I saw this sweet moment, that this is just part of his beginning of history.
Right.
And the true emotion is gratitude that he gets to experience. Something different.
Usually brings them. And it's such a inspiring moment when I see the willingness of the youth, because I can't imagine myself at 8, 9, or 10 experience that. Yeah.
His way of living to abstaining from alcohol and to heal from all this previous trauma, and I'm just so grateful for everything. So
Thank you. Couldn't do without you. I wouldn't be here without you. I'll tell you that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, you got one class down. Now you got the rest of your life. And all future lives. Hopefully it's the last one. Let's make this one the last one. I don't know about you, but I don't want to do this again. Awesome. Cool.
my son is the truth. And to always be aware of the John,
I think one thing people take for granted is silence. Crap, I'm bored. You need something to do, right? But that need to do something is just, again, going back to the ego, right? It's going back to the illusion of life and our delusion of having to always be doing something. And so to be able to sit in silence and enjoy it for what it is, moments, right? It's a moment of gratitude. Myself in moments of, oh, I need to do something, right? In those moments of boredom, that's, if there's recognition, right? That's what I'm saying. If there's recognition, that is an enlightening moment, right? So to your case right now, your realization of the comparison between the first time, you can be grateful for that change. You can be grateful for that development. You can be grateful for that realization of what used to be versus what is now. And be able to say, this is better. Right? Would you rather be at peace or would you rather suffer? If you'd rather suffer, then you're a psychopath, right? Nobody wants to be a psychopath. But there's a book series called Foundation. Has anyone read it? I think there's a series on it now too. I read it years and years ago. It's beautiful. It's an amazing series. You should read it. But if I remember correctly, one of the quotes, it's a sci-fi series, but one of the quotes that the emperor uses, kind of like their motto is, enjoy the peace. And that's something I always try to remember is enjoy the peace. Because not every time, not everything, not every day is peaceful, right? For what it is. Now boredom, it's not having nothing to do. It's not, oh, I need to fill this gap with something. So that's typically what most people do, is try to fill the gap, right? Whether it's eating, watching TV, listening to music, right? You're always trying to fill silence. And I do, so yes, we're on the same page here, right? But most people want to listen to music. Most people want to put on a podcast. Most people want to talk on the phone because they just can't sit with the silence. It's awkward. Right? Well, you bring up a beautiful point, because most time, the reason why we want to fill the gap is because we're afraid to be with ourselves and to be with our thoughts, right? So our thoughts can be pretty dangerous sometimes, right? And we can overthink, we can become overwhelmed as a means of meditation. Because the same way you sit in meditation, you do contemplation, right? When you contemplate on a topic or on an issue or whatever it may be, and you're trying to problem solve, use that same occasion to do the same thing. It may not be pleasant. 2 seconds.
To not move forward, so that takes concentration. Also, it's a skill of life. I live in silence, and I have to keep my car running first, and to do it a certain way, because I read somewhere it says to if a chaotic situation happens, that brings good news in a way. It works the mind, habits, and stuff. I'm watching the mud off me to make me shine. But I thought about that today. I read something about not to be for in meditation, because that's where the light hits you the most, you know. And right? I used to like sit in my bed or lay down, but then now I do it with like two. Or I'm just saying, like, do I receive different types of messages if I don't talk to him, or if I'm just laying down? Because having a statue is, for a while, it's weird. I hate it, but I just thought it would be the same. I'm not sure if it's the same science, but not the same internal thoughts. I was asking that.
The kind of like the sacred space that we have at home, right, is supposed to be just that, a sacred space, right? A place where it's designated and dedicated for one thing. But that one thing, aka meditation, can happen anywhere and everywhere, right? You don't need a cushion to meditate. Like I said before, when you cook, you meditate. When you clean, you meditate. When you're driving, you can meditate. When you're raking leaves or watering plants, all these are opportunities for meditation, right? Because what is meditation? Meditation is the ability to concentrate. You can consider that meditation, right? So you can be standing, sitting, you can be doing backflips or cartwheels or whatever you want to do, and it'll still be meditation.
And why? Because like loud music or anything, we just want to keep us busy. The reason I keep us busy is we don't want to be in the present moment. And if we can be in the present moment, that's what the meditation is. What I'm looking for is like being in the present moment, doing one thing at a time. And we just like not reading the tabs, thinking something negative will happen, or worrying about the future, not being in the present moment. That's why we need this loud music. That's why we need our mind busy playing games or doing something to go on drugs or do like some ICD carriage or something like that.
Yeah.
Focus on it.
Control, right? Which is why when we sit in meditation, the mind's always going back to the argument you had with your significant other, with your children, or whomever, or it's thinking about the future of what do you want for dinner and what do you want for lunch, right? And so it's like, no, I don't want this. Let's think back of that situation that happened 2 years ago. Well, let's think about what we want to do next week or this summer, right? It has no control. It has full control over these two spaces. And so that's why meditation's difficult, because it doesn't want to stay in the present. It has nothing to do. Talk on the phone, all this stuff is for the mind to do something. And so when you present it with something of not doing, it freaks out. Right. Temporary here is the key word, right? All right, I've already taken enough of your time, so please join me in invoking the Buddha's name 3 times again, and we will end today's class. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Positive karmic action we've accumulated here today, we wish to transfer the merit to all sentient beings and wish them full enlightenment. And wish